Hello everyone! Today we're making a very delicious cherry honey cake. Ever heard of that? Today we're making a honey cake with cherries. It's really tasty. You can use fresh or frozen cherries. Thaw them, squeeze out juice, and drain in a colander. Let's get started. Take some eggs. I'll need 4 eggs. So crack them into the bowl where we'll be mixing the honey sponge cake batter. Add half a teaspoon of salt and start beating the eggs, just like this, without sugar for now. When the eggs have now slightly lightened in color and increased in volume, then add the sugar. Now beat them together with the sugar. Once you've beaten them, add the honey. I'm using regular floral honey, nothing with a strong flavor, because the cake layers will have a honey taste. Now mix it like this to make sure the honey is well incorporated. Mix the baking powder with the flour. I'll just stir it like this. And now add the flour mixture straight into the eggs. Stir with a spatula in one direction to deflate the batter as little as possible. Everything is mixed. The honey sponge cake batter turns out to have a really interesting texture. It's very light and bubbly, but also stretchy, like this. It's quite unique. Now you can bake it either in the oven or in a multi-cooker. I'm going to use a multi-cooker. So on the bake or sponge cake setting, it cooks for about 20 to 25 minutes. It's the same in the oven. Pour all the butter into the bottom and bake. Don't forget to grease the bottom and sides of the multi-cooker with oil. All right, the sponge cake is ready. I gently lift it a bit with a silicone spatula like this, so it comes away from the sides. Now carefully cover it with parchment paper and then gently place a cutting board or a plate right on top. Flip it over and take it out. Now cut the sponge cake in half. Look at these honey sponge cakes. See how they turn out. They're so porous, a bit moist, and very tasty. Now transfer the sponge cake onto a serving dish. So look, I don't soak the honey cake layers. They're moist enough as is. If you soak them, they'll just get too soggy. Take some parchment paper and line the sides. My cake pan fits just perfectly, exactly indeed right. That's why I first put the parchment in, and now I take the ring from the cake pan. I carefully tuck the parchment in a little, and then I set it precisely like this so that it doesn't move around at all. And now it is securely set like this. Take a look. There we go. All set. Good. Now for the cream. Mix the thickener for sour cream with powdered sugar. You can buy any brand, just the thickener for sour cream. Now add all of this to the sour cream. You don't need a mixer. Just mix it like this with a spoon or spatula. Spread half of the prepared cream onto the first cake layer. You need to save the other half. Spread it over the honey cake. I drained the cherries in a colander. See? They've drained really well like this. And now I scatter the cherries like this all over the cake layer. If you're using fresh cherries, just make sure to remove the pits, don't forget. Place the second cake layer on top, like this. This is how I do it. I press it down like this, really press it well. So look, I take the remaining cream that we have and carefully spread it evenly over the very top of the cake, ensuring a smooth and complete coverage. Cover everything with plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for 3 to 4 hours. Once the cake is set, serve it. Don't forget to cover it tightly with plastic wrap, otherwise the sour cream frosting will dry out and become unattractive and unappetizing. But if you keep it under plastic wrap, everything will be fine. On the second day, take the cake out of the fridge. It should be well soaked by then. So, look, I want to point out something. If you're letting it soak overnight, not just putting it in the fridge for 2 hours and then serving, But leaving it for the whole night makes sure that there is no air between the cake layer, well, between the cream and the plastic wrap you're using to cover it, so that the cream doesn't dry out. If it does happen that the cream dries out, just take a spoonful of sour cream, spread it on top, and you'll have a nice white surface. Now, lift off the spring foam pan, carefully remove the parchment, and coat the sides of the cake with sour cream. I don't even add powdered sugar here. I just spread a thin layer like this, so the topping will stick. Now, about the beautiful crumbs. You can just leave the cake plain and white, that's it. But since this is a honey cake, I'd like to sprinkle it with honey crumbs. I didn't have an extra cake layer to make the crumbs from. So what do? There are two ways. First, buy some cookies, not the really light ones, but those with a slightly caramel color, like Ducat cookies. Blend them in a blender and use them as the crumb coating. Or you can do it the way I do. Every time I make cakes with this kind of crumb coating, there's always at least a little bit of the crumb left over. I keep it in the fridge and then use it at times like this. Just a few weeks ago, we made a honey cake together, and I had some honey cake crumbs left over. It worked out perfectly, just right for this. Now, let's coat the cake. We'll make a nice velvety edge, like a little border. And it's ready to serve. You don't need to wait for the cake to warm up after taking it out of the fridge. There's no butter in the cream here, so we don't have to wait, we can cut it right away. Let's see how the honey cake turned out. It slices very gently and has soaked up the cream really well. Well, honey cake layers always absorb the cream very nicely. Look at how beautiful this honey cake is. You can see the cherries. The layers are so velvety, you can tell they're soaked through. I think this is going to be delicious. A tasty honey sponge cake. Honestly, the honey cake with cherries is really delicious. Really. It's so refreshing, just like summer. I would say this is a summer honey cake with cherries. Try making it with some other kind of berry too, but not one that's too sour. In my opinion, cherries work. Even red currants would be good. Or maybe even black currants. You could give it a try. Why not? It's really delicious. You definitely have to try it. Like and share this video. Subscribe to my channel. I have lots of honey cake recipes on my channel. Bye!